Well, hello and welcome back to episode 001 of the Legal Gym podcast, where we help you to work out your legal muscles and get legally protected at the same time. In today's episode, you're going to learn how to start your very own LLC, which, if for those of you who don't know, stands for Limited Liability Company. And this is part of the first pillar of my Lock It Down legal protection system for online entrepreneurs. Now, what I want to share with you is that starting an LLC is incredibly important, because what most entrepreneurs do is they set up their LLC the wrong way, or they wait too long to set up an LLC, or they never set up an LLC. And when you do that, you ended up wasting a lot of time and money and effort in a way where you never actually get the benefits of having that LLC. And some of those benefits include not only protecting your personal assets from your business liabilities, but also protecting your business from your personal liabilities. And then there are also a number of significant tax benefits that come from setting up your LLC the right way. And we're going to talk about all those things in a future episode. But today, if you're listening right now, we're going to be talking about how to set up your LLC the right way. And if you're listening, you might be thinking to yourself that this is exactly what you are doing right now. You either, like I said before, you either have set up your LLC the wrong way, or maybe you don't even know if you set it up the wrong way, or you are in business right now and you haven't set one up, but you know you need to, or you've never set up an LLC and you never even thought you needed to set up an LLC. So let's talk about how to get that LLC set up and get that started for you. And if you stick with me to the very end of today's podcast, you should be able to have an LLC set up in the time it takes you to listen to this podcast. Literally, it's that easy to do. So let's talk a little bit about how we set up an LLC. Now, the first step, and there's a 10-step process that I have for this. So the first step, step one, is that you have to determine that an LLC is actually the correct entity for your business. And for some people it is, and for some people it isn't. There's other entities that you could choose. There's other business structures you could choose. You could be a sole proprietor. You could form a corporation, which is a little bit different than an LLC. Or you can go into business with somebody else and actually have a partnership. Regardless of what you choose, you need to make sure that an LLC, if you decide you're going to form one, is the correct entity for your business. And I would say that somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to 95% of businesses, online businesses in particular, an LLC is going to be the correct entity, and it is going to be something that you do want to form for your business to make sure that your assets are protected. That's step number one. Now, once you've decided that an LLC is the correct entity for your business, you go to step number two. And step number two is a step that a lot of people get hung up on. And this is probably one of the most powerful steps in this entire sequence, because when you do what I'm about to tell you here in step number two, you're actually putting, like a face to the name, or a name to the face. I'm not sure. But the step number two is you need to pick a name. And so once you put a name to your business, that is so powerful, because you're making this mental shift from now, you don't just have a side business or a side hustle or a hobby that you're doing on the side to maybe try and earn a little bit extra cash. You actually are saying, you know what, I am going to have a business. And that is tremendously powerful. A lot of people never get to that step. And a lot of people really get hung up here and never move past this. I can't tell you how many people, they schedule calls with me to set up LLCs, and they tell me, this is where I really got stuck. I don't know what to name my business. And they let that keep them from having any type of success with their online endeavors. So step number two is you need to pick the name. Step number three is you need to make sure that nobody else is using your name. And there's a number of ways you can do that. But the most common that I see, and what you should be doing, is you need to go to the Secretary of State's office in the state where you live. Now, a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't I be forming an LLC in Wyoming or Nevada or Delaware or someplace else where there's lower taxes or there's better business environment or whatever it might be? No, you should not. I didn't even make that a step, because it's just a given that you should be filing your LLC in the state where you live. Now, if you're like a digital nomad or something, there's exceptions. But for 99.9% of people who are setting up an online business, they live in the states, you want to set up your LLC in the state where you live. So you're going to go to the Secretary of State in your state, and there should be a link somewhere to do a search for business entities. And you're going to look for LLCs, and you're going to look to see if anyone else is using the name that you want to use. So you'll just type in your name that you're thinking about using and hit a search. And if nothing pops up, or if a bunch of names pop up, but none of them are too similar to yours, then you should be fine. But this is very important. Don't skip this step. I have formed LLCs for people, and usually when I ask them, when we're setting up the LLC, I ask them to give me 2 or 3 names if the first name is taken, and it doesn't happen often that the first name is taken, but I have seen it happen. So you do want to make sure that you've picked a name that nobody else is using, and you want to do that search ahead of time. And this is going to help keep your paperwork from getting rejected and potentially losing the filing fees that you have for setting up that LLC. So make sure you do that. That's step number 3. Step number 4 is one that's not legally required, but it's one that I highly, highly recommend for my clients and for students in my online membership program, is to get a virtual business address. And a lot of people will use a PO box. Some states that works, some states it doesn't. It just depends. I don't necessarily recommend a PO box. I think that you should go to a service that actually provides virtual mailboxes. And the reason for that is oftentimes what those services will also provide you with, in addition to an address, is they will scan your mail for you. They'll upload it to a portal for you. They can forward it to you if there's something important that you need to receive physically. Maybe you got a package or something that they can't easily scan. And so you want to make sure that you use a service that can give you a virtual business address. Again, not required, but it's highly recommended. And the reason why you want to do this is it's going to keep your home address private. It's going to keep you from getting a ton of junk mail, which you will get as soon as you set up your LLC. And honestly, it's going to make your business look a little bit more legit in the eyes of the public if somebody is doing some research on you to see if you are a legitimate business. So get that virtual business address, and also your family or friends, if you've got roommates or family members that live with you, they're going to thank you, because otherwise your inbox is literally going to be inundated with junk mail after you set up your LLC, and you don't want that to happen. The 5th step is to find a corporate registered agent. Now, I get a lot of people that say, Jim, wait a minute, hold on here. Can't I just serve as my own registered agent and save myself the $100, $200 a year of having that registered agent? Yes, you can. You can serve as your own registered agent. Now, keep in mind, a registered agent, it's a legal requirement in all 50 states. And the legal requirement basically is that you have to have somebody manning an office where you can receive service of process during normal business hours, 365 days a year. Well, it's not 365, but during, normal business hours. So Monday through Friday. Now, you could serve in this role yourself, but you would also need to list your home address in the corporate paperwork. And then you're basically stuck. What if you want to take a vacation? What if you want to go live in Europe for 6 months? What if you want to go to Maui? What if you want to what if you want to go visit family over the holidays and take 3 weeks off? The whole point of starting an online business, right, is that you get financial freedom and lifestyle freedom, but that also means location freedom. And if you're tethered to your home address because you're your registered agent for your LLC, that defeats the whole purpose of what you're doing. So spend the small amount of money, $100, $200 a year, and find a corporate registered agent. We do serve in this role for our clients, and we can do this for you. I'm not saying you have to hire us. Find whoever you want. It doesn't mean us, but find somebody who can serve in that role for your business. Now, step number 6 is you're going to head over to the Secretary of State's office for your state, remember where you live, and you're going to start to dig through the resources there, and you're going to figure out what you need to do to file the corporate or your LLC paperwork in that state. Now, in every single state except for Maine, and I think Louisiana and Delaware have some funky rules, but Maine is the only state that I know of that you have to file everything by paper. In every other state, you're going to be able to go online and fill out the paperwork to file your LLC. So step number 6 is you need to go to your state Secretary of State's website and get the lay of the land, figure out what's there. There's going to be some FAQs. They're going to tell you how much the filing fees are. They're going to tell you what you need to do to file. Check that out, read through that, and make sure you understand what you're going to need to do to actually file. Now, step number 7 is you may need to set up an online account. It's going to depend on your state. Some states will let you just go through and file everything without setting up an online account. Other states will require you to set up an online account. And I don't have the numbers in terms of how many require an online account and how many don't, but I was doing research for this for an LLC product that we have, and I went through and documented the rules for all 50 states, and I will note that a lot of states do require you to set up an online account. So just something to be aware of. Step number 8 is that you're going to go ahead and fill out those articles of organization to set up your LLC. You've got your name, you've got your business address, hopefully, you've got a registered agent. Now you need to go ahead and complete those articles of organization. Sometimes they're called a certificate of formation. Sometimes they've got another name. It just depends on the state. And then I will also tell you some states have some other little requirements that you might need to do certain things. Some states require you to register your name before you file the articles of organization, which is actually a little wonky and backwards. Some states require that you do some tax filings before you file your articles of organization. So you're just going to need to check and see if your state has any type of weird rules. Some states, it's really easy. It's just a matter of going online and literally filling out the paperwork and filing it. Other states, it's a little bit more tricky. You just need to be aware of that. Now, the articles of organization, that's the paperwork that is typically required to form your LLC in your state. Once you get to that point and you start filling that out, you're almost done. You're on the home stretch. You need to get to step number 9. Step number 9 is you're going to actually pay the filing fees and submit the paperwork. The filing fees will vary by state. I'd say on average, they're around $200, $250, but they vary from about $50 on the low end to, in Massachusetts, you're going to pay $500. You also need to be aware in California, the filing fee is only, I think, $70 to form your LLC. However, in April of each year, an $800 franchise tax is due in California. So even though they get you with this very small little intro offer, form your LLC, only $70, well, now you're going to get hit with an $800 franchise tax. And don't go trying, if you live in California, don't go trying to file someplace else outside of California, because you're just going to cause yourself more problems. And I believe the penalty, if you do that and California finds out, which they will when you file your taxes, is several $1,000s. So you don't want to do that. Just go ahead and file in the state where you live. Like I said, if you live in California, you're just going to need to suck it up and file in California. Step number 10 is that you're going to get your documents back from the state. And now you go celebrate, have a beverage of your choice, and toast yourself, because now you have your LLC, your business is finalized. Woohoo! Hooray for you. Great job. So that's how you get your LLC set up. But I will tell you, if that's all you do, if you file your LLC, you get that paperwork back, and you just file it away in a drawer somewhere after you get it formed, then you're missing out on the major legal protections that come with setting up an LLC in the first place. So that's why you need to tune in right now to the very next episode of the podcast, in which I'm going to be talking about the things you need to do after you set up your LLC to make sure that you are legally protected. Thank you so much for listening, folks, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Have a great day.